welcome Nsoroma to the Leaders Who Care series. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mark. It's such an honor to be here. I'm really, really pleased to be here. Thank you to your team and everyone who's working for me to be here.
You're so welcome. I think everybody's going to be excited to hear all that you have to say, and going to be going to find it super cool that all you're doing. So let's start by telling us a little bit about you. Like, first of all, what does your name mean?
Oh, well, my name is Nsoroma, and it actually means child of the heavens or star child. So that's really cool.
No kidding. That's super cool. My name doesn't mean anything close to that. So, um, tell us a little bit about how old you are, where you live, and a little bit about your family.
Okay, so I'm actually 12 years old, and I have an older sister who's named Savannah. She's 18, and I have a older brother who's named Ebenezer, and he's 17. And I feel like my family has really been an incredible and really important to me because they've always supported me and encouraged me with everything I do and in everything I do as well. So I'm really grateful for them.
Yeah, I've met them. They're pretty cool. You're cooler, but they're pretty cool. So, where do you live?
I live in Sacramento, California. So it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's too busy, but it's kind of busy a little bit.
Oh, have you been to New York?
I actually have been to New York. Yes, I have. When I was traveling because my sister was looking at colleges, so we went to a college in New York. So that was pretty fun.
Man, busy year.
Yeah, it's really
Now, I know your dad is in Liberia right now. Are you where were you born?
I was born in Tennessee, and I feel like I never really grew up in Tennessee because we moved right after that, and I actually visited Liberia when I was really young. So I was just born in Tennessee though. So and that's really fun.
Are you a country music person?
Um, Not really. I wouldn't say I'm a country person, but country is nice sometimes.
No, that's a good diplomatic answer. What if someone asked you, like I'm going to ask you right now, what's important to you? What do you find is most important to you?
Well, what I find that is really most important to me is really empowering people to love themselves and who they are because growing up, I faced a lot of bullying and pressure to conform to what people wanted me to be. So I feel like empowering people to love themselves is really important to me, which when I was bullied, it really made me realize the importance of self-confidence and self-love in yourself. So I don't want people to feel a certain way when they're getting bullied. I want them to love themselves and not conform to what the bullies want them to be. So that's really, really important to me.
That's great because, like, and being silent about that, just the bully just keeps going on and on. If you're silent and don't stand up, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, that's a good segue to share with us where the ideas and the motivation came from for you to create your own business.
Well, some of the ideas of creating my own business really came from my own experience with bullying and feeling pressure to conform to this appearance that my bullies wanted me to conform to. So I wanted to create a skincare business that not only just sold a product, but actually had a mindset with it. That mindset that you don't need just a product to look good and feel good, but a mindset that you should be proud in yourself. You should love yourself for who you are, and that's the mindset that I try to provide in Melon is Beautiful. So that was kind of how my idea of my skincare company really came along with my experience with bullying.
So, the idea of it, what do you most like about the whole process of creating a business from the idea to then you had to do some research to the purpose, and then you have an investment that has to be put in. Tell us a little bit about the process, how you enjoyed it, and what it looked like.
Okay, so the whole process of creating this business and how it really looked like is that I had to really work on first I had to do a lot of research like what's the research behind everything that I'm doing right now because I really started my company doing the whole George Floyd incident and the Black Lives Matter movement. So when I was little, I was like, I was interested. I was like, let me do some research. Let me see what all this situation is really about. So I was doing some research, and guess what? I came across this thing. It's called the Black is Bad effect. And I was like, wait, there's something called the Black is Bad effect. So I was interested. I started doing research and research, and I actually found this little soap ad that was running in 1920. And it depicts these two girls. I would say no older than 5, and one girl, she had these really, really golden curls. They were really nice, and this really lovely blue dress. And she had a lighter pigmentation than this other girl that she was looking down at. And she had kind of like a tattered dress, and she was barefoot. And they were looking at each other. And underneath it in bold, it said, "Why doesn't your mama wash you with fairy soap?" So I was really, really shocked. And as a child at this time, I didn't really understand what that meant. So growing up, the following years, I experienced bullying because of my appearance or how I look like. So I feel like everything connected in a way which makes Melanin is Beautiful what it is right now. And that's why I'm so empowered to help other kids believe that in themselves and believe that they're beautiful just the way they are and they shouldn't change anything about themselves.
Yeah, super cool. So how did that turn into, did you have to get an investment of any money? How did that turn into making sure that that the products, are accepted and they're working? How did you do that?
Well, I would say it took a really, really, I would say it took a long process. It took a couple, like 2 years to really get everything started. I remember when I first ever started my business, I was like, okay, if I really want a skincare business, I'm going to need money or I'm going to need an investment to really start everything and bring it off from the ground. So I went to my parents. I was like, okay, mom and dad, I created a business plan. I created everything that I need to buy to start this company. I did my research. I did everything. I showed them the paper. I'm like, this is my business plan. This is what I need. If you give me $1,000, I promise you that I'm going to pay it back and I'm going to make sure that this business skyrockets. And they're like, okay, and Soma, that's good. We'll invest into your business, but just make sure that you pay that money and make even more to keep running your business on forward. So it was an experience though. And it really
Did you have to do a whole PowerPoint presentation to them or what?
a whole business plan. It was a really long business plan, but thankfully my siblings helped me with it.
Oh, that's good. Teamwork. That's what you need to do. So, do you have projections where you see yourself making a profit and obviously you're going to see yourself making a social impact at the same time, right?
Yes, I actually do see that because I feel like the profit, making a profit stems from what you're willing to give because I feel like giving is key because in order to make a profit, you have to be giving something. You have to be giving something in your community or whatever you're doing. So getting started with Melon is beautiful and really focusing on the goal and not even focusing on the profit, that makes profit itself. So instead of just focusing on the profit, I focus on the goal and how I'm going to get my product out to people and get that mindset out to people to love themselves for who they are.
Yeah, that's really wonderful you think that way because even in our firm, we found out from a lot of executives that they found out that being, and this is how this all started, being a leader who cares about their people, being a leader who cares about what's happening in the world is actually good for business. And you make more money when you make a social impact like that. So if you're making people feel good, then you're going to be successful, in your business. And we talk a lot about caring, about being kind and also the importance of belonging. Tell us how this is not just about it, a little more about just having a good product, but you're raising awareness about all that, about feeling good. And I think I remember you described it to me that it's like the icing on cake empowering people. I think you told me. So you've talked a little bit about that. Have you had any experience of seeing that happen already, or tell us a little bit about what's been progressing?
Well, I believe that it's not just about selling a product, it's about raising awareness and empowering people. So I feel like it makes me feel great when people come up to me and be like, Oh wow, and so I really like how you explain this, or I really like the idea of your product and the mindset behind it. And when people tell me that that mindset is working, it makes me feel like really, really good about Melanin is Beautiful and how far things have gone. So it is kind of like an icing on the cake because when I bring my product out to people and when I show them it and I bringing the mindset out, then it just becomes an icing on the cake because Melanin is Beautiful is not only selling products, but it's carrying a mindset, which is the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, that's great. And so many people um are looking for to feel good. So many people, there's loneliness, there's all sorts of things going on in the world. And there's been studies done that the thing that fills people's hearts and souls more than anything is belonging. And it sounds like that's in your DNA also, where you're no matter what your skin color is, we all have the same thing in our body. We can all feel good about ourselves and we can belong. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense because I feel like God essentially just made humans, but we made these different races or put apart these different races because I feel like we're all just different types of clay. Like we're all humans at the end of the day. So I that's what I really believe.
Yeah, I think that's a good belief. Way to go. Congrats on also you. I know you engaged your mom and dad, got $1,000 out of them at least. And and then your siblings, you said, helped you with the business plan and everything. Did you give them equity in the company? Do they have a share of the company?
Have different roles that they play. Like my sister is the vice president, like the vice president, and my brother is actually the accountant who takes care of the money and the income that we're getting. So we all have roles in my company.
Excellent. Now, you also said you had friends and even your history and Spanish teachers, right? Were involved in some way?
So my histories and Spanish teachers and all my friends and family, I feel like really they were the starting, like that was my starting point. And when I went out to them and I showed them about my business, hearing all these positive feedback from them really made me proud in Melon is Beautiful and how far it has gotten. And they actually helped me during that process when I first started. They're my first supporters. So I'm really glad for them and everything that they did to help me when I first started off. Melon is Beautiful, like bringing it into the classrooms, telling their other staff members and telling their families and friends really helped me out a lot.
So instead of Girl Scout cookies, you girls are all going to be selling this, right? That would be interesting. Has has the experience and your and the interest that you've received, has that changed anything in you? I mean, you've probably learned a lot, but has it changed your ideas of how people and things are in the world, school and friends, money? Has there been any difference made?
Well, it has taught me that determination and passion is really key because if you don't have determination, because I don't know, but have you ever like you really want to get something done and you do it, but sometimes when you don't really want to do something, you let it lag and you give it some time. But with determination and passion, that's how I really carried my company because I was determined to do this. If I didn't want to do it, then I wouldn't have done everything that I did. So I feel like determination is really key in starting any company. Let it be something that you really want to do and have a passion about. So those are the values that I really saw in starting my first company.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Congratulations, because life's short, if you will, as they say, and wouldn't it be great to work in something because you spend a lot of time at work that you really love and you see the reaction you get from people and you're making a difference in the world. Really important. So, um, what's next for you? I mean, since you are, as you said, a child of the sky, I guess that means the sky is the limit, if you will. What's next in the business and what's next in school for you? And where do you see all this going?
Well, what I see in my whole process of Melon is Beautiful, I'm actually starting a book and a podcast on all of these values that I learned from Melon is Beautiful. Because, like I said, I'm not only selling a product, but I'm also carrying a mindset with me. So, with this mindset, I'm putting that mindset into creating podcasts so people can hear what I believe in, what I know that people should feel good in their skin. And I'm creating a book about my experience with bullying and how it changed me and how I see things. And I'm also creating a podcast that tells people about different things that we think that we don't know that we're doing, about like maybe how we see other people, our first judgment and snap judgment. And I'm this mindset into like making a podcast and a book so I can tell people, show people different things and how they should love themselves and feel powerful in themselves. So I'm really, really looking for a lot of support in my podcast and my book that I'm trying to like gain a following so that I can bring these mindsets into other people as well.
Do you have a name for your podcast?
Oh, the name for my podcast is Let's Speak Beauty. Let's Speak Beauty.
Super cool. Are you gonna let any guys on your podcast?
Um, I will probably let some maybe some speakers, maybe yeah, I might even let you come on my podcast as well because it's an honor to be on your podcast. So
You might even let me on. It's not even sure. You might. Okay. That's awesome. Really good. You know, there's a couple of expressions I want to share with you. I don't know if you ever heard of Maya Angelou.
I guess
So she has a quote that's amazing that says, most people will forget what you've said, most people forget what you've done, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Pretty cool, right? And then when you talked about bullying before, there's a fellow by the name of Bill Bradley. He's used to be an NBA superstar player, and then he was a senator in government. And he said his grandmother's mother told him, he said, don't ever look down on people you don't understand. And I thought that was brilliant too. And it sounds like you're addressing both of those and more in what you're doing. So congratulations on all you're doing. And I expect we're going to hear some great things, from you. And you clearly are one of the leaders who care. And I made a new friend, so I'm so excited.
yes, I'm really excited as well. Thank you so much for letting me be on Leaders Who Care, and I'm really, really pleased and honored to be here. Thank you so much to you and your team.
You're amazing. Thanks a lot.